Yes, sir, man.
Feed, Love, and Chocolate, the podcast.
Rib, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in.
And we back. Nah. Oh, should I do my thing? Do my little
right
plugs?
front.
Yeah,
Let's
okay.
get it out.
All right, y'all. So I'm Mateo Rodriguez. I'm a member of a revolutionary party called the Party for Socialism and Liberation. If you've been keeping track of the 2016 elections, you probably saw in Florida and California there was a person running the third party called Gloria La Riva. She was a member of that party that I'm in, Party for Socialism and Liberation. What we do is, there's a part of it that's electoral. You see that in Gloria and other local candidates that sometimes run and problem spots that we think we can help in. But most of our work is in mass organizing, grassroots movements, and all that kind of organizational work that comes down on the streets. Because that's where the real politics happens, is on the streets. And so I have been in Westchester organizing with them for a year now. And through that time, I've been able to learn new skills, leadership skills, and all kinds of other things to help me, be a leader. And it's been really good for me. And so now I'm back home, East Stroudsburg, and I feel like, I didn't have the skills way back when, 2 years ago when I tried to do it, but I do now, so I want to give back. And so, there's a couple things that are in the works. There's a lot of organizations I want to start working with, including, LGBT groups and ESU, as well as any other multicultural groups that I'll be looking into. But there's also talks of perhaps working within the homeless community with the NAACP. And there's, of course, always education seminars and book reading sessions going on. A new one coming up is the Walter Rodney one, as I just brought up. But for the current going-ons right now, I'm just looking for people who are excited to organize with me and willing to participate, because there's plenty of things that are going on within my inner circle that I've been working with, that I'm always busy with. And so I'm looking for people to organize with, because it'll come down to, going down to the streets, phone banking, talking to people, doing donations, working at soup kitchens, making steps with the community at large. And so that's really it, because I've just kind of started. But, if you follow me, you'll see all the updates all the time on my Instagram, which is Dionysian Hypermaoist. I'll probably start posting on Facebook to show events and stuff. So that's just Mateo Rodriguez. You can find me on Facebook. And anything beyond that, you can find through those two accounts. That's really it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once again, if you're watching the video online, links in the description for all that.
Right.
Sounds real good.
For those that don't know, what's the difference between socialism and capitalism?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, let's do that. So socialism is a historical when you look at socialism and capitalism, you have to look at through historicity. The way that Marxists or revolutionary, Leninists look at, let's say, history is through a method called dialectical materialism. So the way that I observe socialism and capitalism are kind of pegs of history, different moments of class society. In the Communist Manifesto, the first thing it said is that history is the hitherto struggle of classes. And so that's a paraphrasing, but basically that means that all history is built off of class struggle. So the initial class was a slave barbarism in pre-Roman societies, Egyptian societies, and then we see Roman societies, which kind of build into a plebeian society of serfdoms. Then we see feudalism. Feudalism is not the same as capitalism. There's some overlapping, some characteristics that build into the other, we see that a lot.
But they're two different things.
Yeah, different things, exactly. And so capitalism is built with the nation state. You see the birth of the nation state. You see, primitive accumulation grow to such a degree that the merchant classes, the burghers, the bourgeois, now take reign. And you see a society formed by those burghers, by those bourgeois, and they create a society that's built on much more simpler terms than back then when it was serfs, tradesmen, guildsmen. It is now just proletarian and bourgeoisie, and sometimes the peasantry. Every successful revolution in Marxist terms have come through the mass working of the proletariat and the peasantry, which is why you always see the hammer and sickle, which signifies the hammer proletarian, the sickle is the peasantry. The difference with socialism now I've gone through that little crash course, Socialism is kind of built off of an acceleration of capitalism that sees the socialization of all national entities, all private entities into national entities, into public entities. This comes with the dissolution of class. This comes with the dissolution of the state, the nation state. This comes with the dissolution of a lot of things, like the structures of slavery and family. It gets reformed into a new type of, mostly the same, but there's no longer the hindrance of capital holding those things back. And so capital is just assets, the accumulation of wealth. That's what capitalism is built off of. Socialism does away with that. It is kind of when you look at the theory of it, it's just a natural kind of motion of history. Revolutions come and they go, but for the first time in history, classes have been turned to just two: the proletariat and the bourgeoisie, and it's a kind of a struggle for the exegesis of humanity, the next step of humankind. That's a big idea. It's crazy. It's weird, and it kind of puts everything on its head that you ever understood. But it's kind of the point. We live in a society where ideology, the way that we're taught things, is all built on the foundations of a different master. We're functionally all slaves in society. Because of that, public school, college, vocational texts, any seminars you take part of, anything that you do, you have to be wary of is the critique of everything, because you suddenly realize you're being taught a message. That message either benefits society, which is held by the bourgeoisie, or it is critique, or it stands against it. It is a hallmark of something other. And that's this. It's always tough talking about socialism because I don't want to sound like a crazy preacher talking about a totally new society, but that's what it is. Socialism is the next step of class society into classless society. And so our work that we do organizing is important in that fact, because we're trying to build a mass movement. This can't be done alone.
Right.
It's the garnering of the people, creating a people's movement. Because frankly, the Democrats aren't that. We can keep looking at history and seeing the Democrats' history, and Joe Biden is the same Joe Biden that wrote the crime bill. Bill Clinton isn't he a Democrat? He wrote the crime. He was he fucking put the crime bill forward. And with Roe v. Wade had every instance to become codified in national law every time the Democrats had a full seats, and they did, and they could have done it easily, but they didn't. And a lot of people say it's because of Joe Manchin, but where did Joe Manchin come from? Joe Manchin became a bad guy out of nowhere. This is all theater.
Who's Joe Manchin?
Yeah, Joe Manchin is some representative who votes no on everything that you think that you should vote yes on.
Oh, really?
Literally anything that just sounds like good for humanity, he'll vote no on.
No, wow.
And that's just like the way it is. It's one person. Like, one person's holding it all back. That's ridiculous. For one, that doesn't make any sense. The entire society built off the whims of people that we don't know, we'll never meet. They go in a room that we'll never be in, and they discuss things that we'll never be a part of, and they tell us that we voted them in and it's for the good of America. And yet we never see any of that. But they'll put out like $40 billion for Ukraine, and then that will literally put us in a recession, as according to the World Bank. But that's fine. It's for the good of whatever. I don't know what that good is.
Right.
And yeah,
well, quote unquote was the betterment of humanity.
Yeah, the betterment of humanity is war. Just scary. It's a scary world we live in, because especially with the war in Ukraine, we thought we were post-war, at least in Western Europe and America. It doesn't seem like the West would ever be in a war. And yet here we are in a very awkward war between two powerful nation states that are vying for political control in a geopolitical world. And so my opinion on it is very neutral, because it's just no emotion or empathy put into siding with the U.S. because the U.S. are good guys. They're not. They're letting Ukrainians die. Oh my God. And so that's these contradictions arise. That's the dialectic in motion. And so I can keep jumping to different topics that show the contradictions, because there's a million contradictions with this current society. And that's what allows for the pushing forward of a new society, because the critique is there. It's written all on the walls. You don't have to really make it. You're just observing it. So it's what you do with that makes the movement go forward. You know, you organize around these struggles and you push for things like housing, which is a big thing out here. That's why homeless is like important to organize around here.
That's what I realized too, doing social work. Like my major, that housing is a huge thing.
It's crazy, and my mom is at her like mind's limit doing like a housing program. She's going crazy like doing it, and I respect her so much because she puts in so much work to try and help the community. And it's like a never-ending rat race, because you'll never see it get fixed, but you'll be able to maintain just a couple people's lives and build up some lives, and some people will
better than nothing.
And that's better than nothing. And that's the thing, is that with that institution, those foundations, you can build so much more.
Right.
It's just that we're being held back. Like, what is making homelessness? You know, like why are people homeless? How does that happen? How could a society allow that to happen to such a degree, so badly?
Yeah.
Like in San Francisco, where there's houses everywhere. There's no lack of houses. People can't live in them. The housing bubble. That's like the biggest one. More contradictions. They keep rising. That's kind of how it works. It's a never-ending web. That's because the thing with socialism is that it becomes a utopia, an ideal to talk about. But the work that you do within it is a never-ending, like, just cataclysm of like contradictions that all fold in on themselves. That shows this is what capitalism is. You know, they'll like Republicans will always say like, oh, it's socialism that's doing this to our country, that's making these things. And it's like they'll always blame capitalism for socialism or whatever. And that's, it's...
But capitalism benefits them, so they're not going to...
Exactly. And it's like, it's not like it benefits the voters that are Republican. It just benefits the fat cats that tell them what they want to hear.
So with that being said, how do you feel about voting then?
I think you should do it if it's important. I mean, it's really nothing. This is out of the way. Just do it. Just vote. I don't like... It's not like I think like you can change everything with voting. That's not the point. Reform is still important. It's reformism that is the problem. Reformism is a submission to civil politics. You're right. Like, all we have to do is just keep working towards making things a little bit better, and then incrementally it'll get completely better. And it's like, no. Every step you put towards making something better, there's somebody who's ready to repeal it, and you never know when that'll come, and it will come. That's how the structure works. And so, like local politics. That's what we have in the party. We have people who run, because they can make really good things happen in local communities. Jacob Pry can make really good things happen in local communities. Shout out. And that's like the thing, is that like never not do it. Local politics and all that is like those people are pretty much down to earth. They're real. They are real. It's just that like it's stepping stones.
So much you can do. Yes,
exactly. There's only so much that can be done. It's the work that we do on the streets is just as much an act of reform as the electoral politics. It's a matter of like the goal that you set forward. If the goal is just like keep maintaining this, then think about the logic of that. Like maintaining the same work to keep the same scenario going. Is that not just maintaining society as it is? Like, is there a future idea that puts forward? And that's when you realize like, revolution I don't necessarily mean a violent revolution. Because that's something that is, any philosopher, any historian will say like violent revolution is not the only kind of revolution.
It just needs a big change.
Exactly. And so, putting forward an idea of revolutionary organizing, revolutionary movements, revolutionary organizers and people is a kind of like modality, a kind of mindset that says like what we do now is important for building trust, building community, organizing the mass movement. And then when you have all that, like how Bernie had all that, now what? With Bernie, and he built a huge thing with that. What did he do with it? Fundamentally nothing. It just kind of fizzled out, and now we have these people who love Bernie, but they're like in a state of like demagoguery worship, where it's just like hoping for daddy to come save politics. It's not going to work that way. If Bernie even became president, it wouldn't be the end of our troubles. We still have to talk about the exploitation of the global South. of Africa, of Latin America,
Right.
Southeast Asia, India, you know? And so, like, the work is international, too. That's another element. This is, you know, workers of the world unite, not workers of America unite. You know, that's a not even a slippery slope. It's just a dog whistle for what becomes fascistic thought. That's why Trump got away with saying populist things. Trump got away with saying, like, we have to, you know, organize and the people and farmers and all that. That's what helps the base of Republicans. But it's always America first. It's always America first. Irony of that is that it's actually killing America. America has never been America first. America is, let's steal from everyone and then give it to us. And so when America stopped doing that for a little bit, you saw a lot of things change. Like the Bolivia became independent mostly, changed its global sphere of economic control to China, which was beneficial to it in every sense of the matter. And that's the thing, is that Latin American countries that lose, like, that have been relinquished of the grip from America, they start to look to China, because China is just going to give them, like, you know, loans and trade deals and whatever. They're not going to, like, outright, like, just, like, put, you know, army bases and exploit them. They don't do that. They don't do that. And so that's, like, the trajectory is that, like, countries know that there has to be a hegemonic power that they have to look towards too, and they look to China. Africa is looking to China. That's a big thing. There's a lot of development. Belt and Road Initiative is built primarily on building routes simultaneously to Europe and China for, you know, equal development. So it's like there's things happening in the international world, and America's losing its grasp on that. And so it's an exciting time because it's also terrifying. Things are always changing. Things are always happening. But, you know, I'm going to quote Mao. Right now. It's happening. You know, everything under heaven is in total chaos. So the situation is excellent. You know, this is the time to get on the streets to see what's happening. Because, like, I tried with George Floyd, but, like, what was happening was good, but then it fizzled quickly. So quickly. And
I feel like it always does, though.
Exactly. That's how it works. It waxes and it wanes. But you want to find a base, a place where you can call home, political home, so you can, you know, get your respite. And then when times start to grow again, you don't feel alone organizing. That's the biggest thing. So many people are like, media identities organizing. I'm not speaking for myself, so I'm speaking on behalf of the party. You know, I didn't come here as an independent. And I think that's good. A lot of people, like, want to do stuff independently, but, like, nah, why even bother? It's so exhausting. It's nice to know that I have people
to back you up.
Yes, exactly. I have, you know,
support.
Exactly. And that's exciting.
So then a question I have, so to participate in the stuff that, you know, you're trying to do, the organizing stuff, I don't have to be, like, aligned with your party. Like, I can just do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to work with Democrats. I want to work with Republicans. I want to work with, you know, union workers.
With
I
people.
The people. Right. That's it. And that's the biggest thing, you know? Like, it's not about everybody having to be a part of the professional revolutionary vanguard. It's about the people knowing that, like, the professional revolutionary vanguard is them, is made up of them. And it's an actual representation, actual identity.
Right.
That's the thing, is you see that kind of representation in, you know, media and in Democrats. They'll have so many diverse peoples, but, like, what does that change fundamentally?
Yeah.
You know? And so it's all these talking shops. It's all these places that love to tell us things, love to tell us how we're better now, we're fixed, but they can't show anything for it. They can just spew words at us. You know, Obama was president, but what the fuck changed?
Right.
Like,
should we said it on the podcast, man. What do you do for Black America? Honestly, he was in office. I mean,
he had everything,
and it was our problem because we didn't hold him accountable. You know what I mean?
Right,
like after that, he won. We allowed him to be there, and then we thought that was just good enough for us. So we thought it was a victory for the community, and then that was it.
And that's the thing, is now with Biden, nobody is under illusion. Everybody's pissed off at him. He sucks. He's bad. He's like okay, yeah, Trump was a bad president, but if you're paying attention to Biden, dog, this is embarrassing. Like, even, like, to think in the way of, like, not as a communist, Biden is embarrassing as a president. He's not a good president, not even remotely. I don't see that second term happening.
Hell no.
No way. No way.
You think Trump is gonna win then?
Ooh, that's so weird.
I feel like Trump.
So weird.
They might bring Trump back. No funny shit.
He's saying he's gonna run, right?
Yeah.
He's definitely gonna run. He already has, and he already has the support and all the back. Like,
if it was DeSantis running, which was like what it looked like they were grooming him to be, he would win in a heartbeat. But if it's Trump running, it might be a game. But I think
I feel like all the backlash from Biden being president is gonna help Trump's case too. Like we should have voted for him.
It always comes down to white moderates.
Yeah.
They're the ones always deciding. Like everybody, you can try and find the perfect. Like I think a lot of Democrats, they like hover around the black women vote. That's their favorite to try and get.
Right.
I don't know why, because it seems like it's a shoe-in for any like black or Latino to like just vote for them. Maybe not Latinos, because a lot of Latinos are just white. The Cuban Latinos, I'm looking at there. All the way in Florida, they're all white. And so like, yeah, the white moderate vote, they're all they always flip-flop because they always get disillusioned. You always see it. It's the same kind of suburbanoid. Like I said, oid. Same kind of suburban white guy who's like lives in nice house, nice parents, nice job, everything. They will switch from like party affiliation anytime a president slights them even a little bit. And Biden has if like the housing bubble actually like pops under his presidency, it's over. I don't think it will, but like everybody's saying that it's over with the housing. That's not gonna. That means we can buy a house when we're like 30, though.
I just know somebody who just put a down payment on their first house. So.
That's scary. I would wait.
I mean,
you get that house cheap, you wait.
I mean, they see the opportunity, man. They see the opportunity.
Yeah, if you got the money, then you're not nervous about it.
And that's not the one you want, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not thinking of it as an investment and a place as a homestead, then do it. Why not? But like, if you're thinking houses as an investment, just wait. Because a lot of people they own their homes, they're gonna flip it and sell it anyway. Because it's just not, you really can't afford a house right now. It's tough unless you have good money. Yeah. Shit, that one's funny to think about the housing, because it's not just gonna be housing. 2008 was bad, but with housing we also have like everything else falling apart, like the labor shortage. It's not really a labor shortage. That's like a funny twist of words. It's not a labor shortage when like jobs are like either not hiring or they're not changing their wages.
Right.
Because things have gotten to a point of like price has gotten to a point on average where it's like way beyond wages.
Yeah, literally.
Yes.
Like
it's not. Yeah. Gas is the biggest indicator. Gas is how you know like, oh shit, things are pretty bad, huh?
Yeah.
And like now it's food too. Like
shit, I knew it was getting bad with butter went from 88 cents to $1 something.
What the fuck is that, right? Like, goddamn.
But I think the biggest thing is though, because with revolutions, right, the actual revolutionary never gets to witness the revolution. Right? So I think the main thing is just the education and showing people what they can do right now so they can pass on that information and educate the following generation.
Yeah, and that's so important. It's not book reading, because like that's a part of it.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is like we're also looking at learning how to organize. Like I read the books even back then a little bit, and I thought I could do it. It takes a whole nother set of skills into phone bank, tell you how to like organize your stuff. Get your Google Drives down, your agendas, your calendars set up correctly. Like those little things are everything, and that's not exciting or sexy as like a part of organizing, but it's so vital. You become disciplined. You need discipline, and if you can't have a martial discipline, this is not realistic right now. We're not looking to bandy up like the Black Panthers. We're not there, not even remotely. Then at least have a civil discipline, some kind of discipline that works within the realms of like just existing and being good at it, because they are the ones who are in charge are good enough at it, and they don't even really have to be anyway. They just have the money and they control everything, and so like all we have is our discipline because we have nothing else. We have some assets. We maybe have a car, a house. Nope, not really. If you haven't paid off your house, you don't have it. It's not yours. It's not yours. And so like that's the thing is. So the assets that you do have will go away. They'll be gone. and all it takes is to miss that payment, to lose your job, not have your health insurance, and then
literally just one shit.
Yeah,
fuck your whole shit up.
And that's how we live. You don't have to literally be paycheck to paycheck, but you are tragedy away from utter failure in this world. And so, like, that's not reasonable. That's not a reasonable way to live. Nobody should have to live like that, but a lot of us do, and a lot of people die like that. And so it's like, what is to be done? How do we move forward? Let's just build the mass movement. That's the thing, is you have to build organizations. You have to build community, because if the government is going to look after you, which is like, if you read social contract theory, you read all the liberal theory, they said this is how it would be. They would look after us. We'd be fine. We'd have the government to protect us, to give us all the things that we need. They failed. I mean, the Second Amendment, written by liberals, was meant to be like, if the government is failing you, this is what your guns are for. Here you go. Have fun. And, America doesn't have that spirit. Not even as a liberal nation, it doesn't have that spirit, because we've been beaten like to a pulp. And that's the thing, is that like that Second Amendment was meant for bourgeois politics, so it was meant for other rich people. But the rich people are fine; they're doing just great. They're having a good time.
Exactly.
It's a big club. You're not in it, you know. And so, like, it begs the question, like, moving forward, like, what do we do? How do we do this? What are we doing moving forward? And, how do we organize? And I have those skills. I was taught those skills. And, I just am excited to be here, because I really, want to bring this to East Stroudsburg, because it's it's like a revelation. It really is. And that's the crazy part, is that, it's just having self-overcoming. That's all it is. It's a pure ethical process of self-overcoming, where you're realizing, this is my role in the world. This is what I need to do. This is how I'm going to help people. This is how I'm going to help myself, because nobody else is going to look after us. And that's the thing with second. I'm not pro Second Amendment as much as I am just pro gun. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit about the Ten Commandments, whatever that shit is, the Bill of Rights, and plus, that's all nonsense. Privileges and rights are privileges. They don't exist for you. They exist insofar as you stay a law-abiding citizen, and it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to not be a law-abiding citizen, because the way that it works is not if you break a law; it's on your identity. It's on your identity, and so be a black man, be a Latino man, be brown, be queer, really, because trans people now, they don't have humanity in the eyes of conservatives. Just sad. That's the crazy thing, is okay, we get it. You have your way of living, your Christian way of living. What happened to separation of church and state? Right. I don't know. And so what they do to avoid the accusations of church and state is that they just accuse pedophilia of trans people, and that's the first step of dehumanizing somebody, because they did it to it did it to black people back in the 20th century. That's an easy way. They're gonna take your white women, they're gonna ruin your families. They're gonna work communism. See, and then they weren't communists. Not every black man or woman comes out the womb a communist. So that was what they did. They did McCarthyism. They dehumanized people as marauders. And that's the first step of steps towards genocide. And that's the thing, is that we see it on the border in Mexico. They
destroy the image first.
Yeah, exactly. People are now put in concentration camps, because that's what they are. That's just what it is. It's a concentration camp. We see the death rates by guns and police on black communities, and we don't have to look at pure violence. We can look at abstract violence, food deserts. When we look at communities that are lacking in good food sources, there's no what would you say, a farmer's market in a ghetto. It's not real,
But there's a liquor store in every corner, though.
Yes, there's liquor stores. There's the you can go to your CBD shops and you can go to the titty bars, and you can do all of those things that are vices, that are all vices, and you can get caught up in that life lifestyle, easily, because that's how you soothe your traumas. Right. That's the only way. That is therapy. That is the therapy that you're allowed, because you can't afford therapy either. That's not happening. You're not gonna get a therapist, even if you are open to it. There's do you have the capital for it? And so these are all ways to demasculate, emasculate, and kind of weaken us. And at first they were just killing us with the Black Panthers. That's how they won. FBI just killed everybody. Literally. That's it. That's how they won. Young Lords killed everybody. The Young Lords, that's a Puerto Rican group that the Rainbow Coalition, that what's his face built with them. Fred Hampton built the Rainbow Coalition, I believe. So he did that with the Young Lords and some like ex-white supremacist group that he also. The fucking Black Panthers are cool as shit, man. They were cool as shit. That's crazy. But they just killed them. And so now we're in that post. This is a great tragedy that we live in. Right. We're seeing the epilogue of a story before our time. But that comes, a sequel. It comes our part. Our part in that story. And so it's like we're starting like a lot of steps back, because it's tough to organize. That's the biggest thing in college, I noticed. And I love college kids, but they love to complain. They know all the things that are wrong. You will not see them on the streets. Yeah. The one time that I saw people really on the streets, it was for Roe v. Wade stuff. But I saw people I ain't never seen before on the streets. Yeah. And it was it was all the white women that would never come out for like any black stuff we were doing. We were doing like a N-Cash bail, and that's primarily like stuff for Coatesville, which is a black community. You would never see them out there for that. Yeah. They would never be out there. But you saw all the signs for like bring back Roe v. Wade, and I'm like, okay, sign our stuff. Yeah. Come to more of our stuff. But it's hard to. Everybody's gonna care. Exactly.
Hey, everybody has their own agenda. That's what
exactly. That's too. So it's like you have to work through that, and that's ideology. A lot of it is that people are like, yeah, this is fine when it affects me, but when I have to like look at the whole community at wide, like that's so much work. Right, yeah. And it's like it's not that much work. As a matter of fact, it's rewarding to be able to like realize an issue and then like systematically find ways to approach it. And people don't see that when they see us. They're like, this is stressful. I'm like, I guess it is. Yeah, because
I think the biggest thing too is like it's hard to build a sense of community across the entire nation when the entire nation was
so divided too.
It was built on dividing and separating us just so we don't have power. Exactly. Like, the main thing is when we're separated and we don't come together, it's easy to take over or control us or do everything they possibly want because we're not together as a unit.
Exactly.
So like Planet of the Apes, bro. As soon as Caesar and them they got together, they ran shit.
Yeah. What the fuck do you think that's an allegory for, man? Right. That shit is literally class politics in that. I love that movie.
I mean, with that being said, though, right? How do we unify though? For real.
Yeah.
Give everybody else the green serum.
So wake everybody up.
You put the knowledge. That's what happened. Tough. They made them smarter, right?
That's what's tough. Is like there's no MacGuffin. There's no MacGuffin. There's no secret tip. It's seriously like you have to build a discipline within yourself. You have to recognize this is a part of your life. Because before the theaters took over America, what were men doing after work? They were going to their union meetings because every man and woman had a union. Mm-hmm. And they went to their union meetings. That was their social time. That was their political time. That's what they were doing. They were going to union meetings and they were meeting up with people. They were helping people get through the ranks of their union. They were helping people like organize amongst each other in trade unions. And trade unions don't necessitate a radical politics. They're not radical. Trade unions are not even remotely radical, and that's okay because it gets people together and it gets people thinking and talking. That is enough. Yeah. But we don't even do that anymore. The theater is the perfect example of how everything works in society right now. We all come together to go to a thing where we just stare at something that feeds us information and we don't talk to each other. And that's fine. I love theaters. I love watching movies. I'm so into Marvel. I used to read Marvel comics. I fucking love Marvel movies. I don't give a shit. That's awesome. I will sit through every single movie. But there is a reminder that hits anybody that goes to a theater, and it is you are utterly alone in there. Despite, you can like laugh about and have fun watching the movie, but the movie has you captive. That has you controlled. It's an allegory for everything that we exist in, because it's a mediation between people. You go to the theater willingly, ain't nobody pulling you in there. Right, you're going to the theater. You want to see the movie, but it's still a relationship that's like completely like solitude. It's you get all the information fed to you. You walk away with ideals, thoughts that you want to carry forward, and then they dissipate and they go away. Like I watch like even like radical movies, and they're still not enough. I watched this Cuban movie. It's not Cuban. It's a Soviet film made in Cuba just after the revolution. So it wasn't sure if the revolution was going to last. It's called Soy Cuba. The movie had me crying. Right. I've never seen a movie so beautiful, national, epic. The Cubans didn't like it, nor did the Soviets, so it got shelved. But who found it? Martin Scorsese. Great movie, though. It was so good.
Watch it on a streaming service?
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon Prime, I think. Well, and then also YouTube. You can also find it on YouTube, and it's pretty good quality. And so, Martin Scorsese found this film. It's good. It's radical. It's straight up propaganda. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Propaganda is neutral.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's straight up neutral. Anybody who say otherwise, like, they're living in like 1984, George Orwell, and that's like fine. Like, I love George Orwell with that book, but like, propaganda is straight up neutral, because everything you live through is propaganda. Everything you do is propaganda. It's a matter of what side you're on. Which side are you on? Like, you can't live neutral or objective. There is no objective society. It's all about subjectivity and sides. And so, like, that's the thing with politics, is that people will tell you politics is about reconciliation and love and whatever. It's about exclusion. Politics is straight up about exclusion, and they do it. They just don't tell you. Politics works wherein the side that becomes in control chooses to exclude what they don't want in that society. And so the current political hegemony, the bourgeois, they've chosen. They don't want the poors living with them. They don't want them around them.
Yeah.
They don't want them anyone near them. They don't want them to have money, because then that means that they would have less money. That's exclusion. Our exclusion is that we don't want the things that bring inequality. And so through that contradiction of our thought, we build a kind of equality that isn't literally everyone the same, but it is a true checks and balance of everything that makes things unequal being eradicated in favor of a balance. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that we live in equality, because think about it. A family of 5 is going to have different needs than a bachelor.
Right.
They just will. And so you're not going to treat them with equality where it's you just give them all the same thing. You give them
accordingly.
Yeah, each according to their needs and each according to their ability.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You think so, but not everybody thinks like that.
Yeah. I mean, hey,
that's why you gotta get a whole bunch of like-minded individuals together, man, and have conversations.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It's heavy. It's the stuff that we do is like, it's about organizing with the certain issues that are happening locally. So homelessness, that's important to work with. And like I said, my mom has a background in social work, so like I know the routes now to like be able to participate even with nonprofits, and then eventually on our own. So it's a slow accumulation, but it helps people see how their world works in their local community, because it's important that people know that like Monroe County is bad. Like in Eastburg, it's bad, so bad, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Exactly,
it doesn't.
Well, shit, definitely keep us posted.
Yeah, for sure.
Follow Mans on the gram.
Oh my god,
Facebook coming soon.
My Instagram is insane.
Yeah,
Sean, you was about to say something?
No.
I'm excited that you're teaming up with like ESU, the LGBT thing, because I know their group for that is very solid. Like they actually
so good.
Yeah,
that's good to hear.
It's a good group for like you don't actually like gain some help. So
yeah, it's tough with Westchester in my experience, because like the student body is exhausted. They don't want to do stuff, and I get it. I was hitting my limit. It's so tiring with the workload that we get post COVID. So it's good to hear that like they have a good solid group, because we've been trying to build a group in Westchester of students primarily, and it's so tough. I find that like people outside of school have more time to organize, but the students are eager, so that's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm so excited to work with students, ESU especially.
You should.
Which actually, one last thing. Are you familiar with the idea of PASHE?
PASHE.
It's our public schools. East Stroudsburg. PASSHE. Yeah. So that's our public schools. That's like was 14. It was 14 of us. That's important because just recently the Board of Governors passed a new plan. It's passed, and they're gonna turn the 14 schools down to like 9 or 8. So that's 6 down to 2.
So some schools are gonna like fuse.
They're gonna fuse and combine, which is like just gonna outright be really bad for a lot of the schools. Yeah. It's gonna come with budget cuts. It's already coming with like laying off. Like I think about like we found out like 20 people right now in our counts, maybe more.
Wow.
And it's a process that's already in. So the schools have been named, and the schools that do exist don't exist anymore. They're all satellites for these 2 schools that have very generic names, like Northeastern Pennsylvania Conglomeration or some shit like that. And so like the local economies for those schools are just gonna tank, and everybody's prepared for it. It's gonna be really bad. And these are rural areas, so they're already bad as it is. But that's our big axis of struggle. In at least what I'm working with specifically within the PSL. And so what we're building is called the People's Congress of PASHE. You can find our website, just look it up. I think it's called congressofpashe.com. That is where you'll see a lot of our stuff, like our agenda, our 8 demands, alongside a couple going-ons, pictures, and contact information as well, which is another way to organize. It's big tent. It doesn't matter what political affiliation you have. It's just for the good of the community to like try and bring awareness, as well as move forward with building a kind of proto-administrative body, as a means to like show that like we know how to organize and we could do their job better than them, because these people get paid like $500,000. Right. The administrators that make this shit pass, they get paid so much to ruin our lives.
Do we know why he thought that was a good idea to do that? Like,
so they're saying their position on that is they have this idea that like the schools are failing because the budgets keep falling, and so tuition is rising, budgets keep falling. It's a bad thing that's happening. It's less students are enrolling. It's just really bad thing that's happening. So what their answer is that like, well, clearly we have to have a merger, because that's what you do in business world when things aren't working. You merge things. Except this is like regular people's lives in the same way that like a merger would be. And sometimes mergers are extremely strategic for businesses, but this is not a business. It is public school. And all the people that they have on administrative hire, they're all business people. The guy who literally is our chancellor was in a company called Ridgelane, and that company is, I shit you not, a company that specializes in consultation for corporate hedges and stuff like that. So he makes mergers. He writes those up. That's literally his job. So that's what they brought him on for, is to do some shit like that. Wow. And they passed it. To literally nobody knowing, because did you guys know about that? Yeah, nobody knows. Nobody knows. That's how they get away with these things, because literally nobody's
behind
talking about it.
Behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. It's behind the scenes. It's meant to be. Everybody who's on the Board of Governors, which is the administrative body that makes those decisions, only 2 of them are students. And they kind of like goody two shoes type. Like they just like teachers' pets. Yeah, they were all teacher pet. That kind of bullshit. And so they just like say yes to whatever, and they did. Like it was unanimous. Everybody who voted for this, it was unanimous. I even talked to a Senator Schwenk. Look it up. I talked to her with a couple other people in person, and I told her, if you do this like you did with the other 2 bills that you did, people will know. And she said, "Thank you for bringing that up." And she was very snippy with me. And she voted yes, just like everybody else. Wow. You can't trust any of these people to look out for you, because they don't represent you. They make more money than you. They live better than you. They have better like ideas of things about the world that they live in than you. They are just happier. And that's bullshit. because they don't do shit. They don't work. What does a senator do? What is their job? I have no fucking idea.
Right.
I don't know what their job is.
Well, we went to go see Mario Scavello. We was walking around, and I don't think he was doing any work. I'll be
they don't work.
Just in an office, right?
Not even because he had time to walk around and show us shit. So it's like you clearly not that busy, man.
That's some bullshit. Like, okay, like I would be fine if she had a do nothing job and she at least looked out for us. But like, that's so rare, especially with them senators. They are like, because they're looking to be like presidents and shit, so they don't give a fuck about local politics. And so like that's like our current struggle right now. There's a lot of things happening. We just had our big meeting, and we had like a big meeting, and we had like 20 people, 25 people. But that's big for us.
That's a lot of people.
Local politics, about things that people frankly don't really know or care about because it's so local and so fringe. They don't recognize how bad it is. And so the local people really care. We had a lot of unions that watched it post. Okay. So we work with the unions, especially the school unions. And it's exciting because it's like a big network. We have almost, like, we're stretched from southeast of Philly area of Chester County to like western PA, where we have a bunch of connections. We went on a tour. Guys, we went on a tour. We went fucking trucking all the way down to West PA, got a campsite, and then we went to all the schools to go, like, you know, do rallies and shit. Like, that's exciting. That's fun stuff.
That is. So things are moving along.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Good to hear, for real. Well, shit. Thank you for that, for real.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is so exciting. I remember my Instagram live came on for the first time, and I said, "Feet, love, and chocolate, put me on."
With that being said, our man behind the camera is giving us that indicator that we got to wrap up soon. So, with that being said, you know,
episode 94.
94 is in the books, man. I hope y'all enjoyed it, tuned in, learned something new.
For real, definitely.
And then, hey, go take Mateo's in the streets.
You know? Talking to all y'all.
Thank you for tuning in, y'all. In case we don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good morning.